Hope everyone's had a great start to the week. Hey, Fern. Ooh, I was listening to Farewell North music and then this notification pops up on my laptop. Perfect timing. I missed the last stream and didn't find the time to watch it back. Excited to see how it's going. Awesome. Yeah, we'll do a little recap in a moment. Good morning. Good morning. Let's... Actually, you know what? Let's just get right into it. So last week, we started working on the art direction for our 3D world. So let's just do a little example here. So we started working on this. Actually, this is a bad example. Let's start it over from the top. We started working on some of the art direction for the 3D world. So let's pop a little bit of water and sand in there. And so we're going with this kind of like embroidered art style where all the props feel like they're kind of like created through embroidery, which I think is a nice little touch. It kind of ties everything together nicely. So today, the plan is to add some more models. So we're going to create some more trees, some rocks, some grass, a barn, some clouds. And yeah, we're just going to start whipping up some models that we can use to start populating the world. Hey, Banksy, how's it going? Oh, wow, that looks really good. I love that. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And the way we set this up is going to make it very quick to create models, so we don't have to worry about texturing them individually. We're doing something procedural where all the models are dynamically textured through something called triplanar shading. If you guys are interested in that, you can go check out the VOD of the last video. Here's our little shader. You can screenshot that if you're interested. It's very basic. We're just using triplanar shading to dynamically wrap textures around our surfaces. So I want to get right back into that. So let's start creating a few more tree props. So one thing I think would be nice, would be to have some taller trees. So we'll do tree 3 here. And what we'll do is we'll just duplicate that and bring it up a few times to create some layers. And we can make each of these a little bit smaller than the last. Just add a little bit more texture there. Oh, by the way, were you able to find out why Henry the Potato can't run the game with the app data I sent? Yes, I think I was. And the reason was because I'm using DirectX 12 and I don't think your computer really supports it. However, the good news is that DirectX 12 is kind of really terrible in Unity currently. They've recently made it kind of production ready, but it seems to still be very prone to crashing. So I've just switched everything to DirectX 11. And hopefully, yeah, on the next build, that should run fine for you. Hopefully. So let's bring that guy in and see how that looks. Actually, you know what? I think I updated the build on itch at the end of the stream on Friday. So if you grab the latest build from itch, it should have that change in there. So there's a tree 3, and see, we didn't have to texture it at all. It just automatically procedurally wraps the texture. So I think that's nice. One thing I also want to fix here is I noticed the shading is a little bit odd with the smoothing. I think what we want to do, if we open these guys all up, is we want these to be sharp edges. So we can mark those sharp, and that'll improve that. And let's just hide all the greenery for a moment. We'll do the same on the top. Yo, what up, iLux? Watching ads, sorry. I thought we had the ads sorted. Thought we got rid of those. Just gonna move that over there. And since this one's a little bit bigger, we'll move that down a bit and we'll create another one. You're here? Awesome. Glad to have you, iLux. Okay, you know Twitch better than I do because I don't really use it very often. Is it possible to turn off ads completely? Because I thought I did, but maybe that's just not possible. How's it going? It's going good, going good. Can you send the link to the chat? Sure can. Let me do that. Hopefully that comes through. That'll definitely come through on Twitch. I don't know if that's going to come through on YouTube, so I'll just paste that manually. Hopefully that comes through. Yes, there we go. Cool. The texture wrapping seems like a godsend. Yes, it absolutely is. It's not perfect. Tripoint mapping does have its like limitations, but if you can kind of like live with those for an indie game, it can make you move much more quickly. iLox, I have no clue, to be honest. I think people would still get ads when joining. I see, fair enough. Okay, well, let me know if there's any more ads, I guess, throughout the, you know, the actual video. Cool, so we got our big tree, a couple smaller trees. What else should we do? Let's see here. Let's look at some low poly trees. I want to keep these pretty simple. So maybe, yeah, we're just doing a couple variations and then we'll move into some rocks. So let's do one that's like a 5 stack. Actually, let's do one that's like barren, that has nothing on it. I think Twitch does ads regardless when joining, I fear. Yeah, okay, well, that's too bad. But as long as that's like the standard and it's not just here. The potato's about to explode, I suspect, but I hope not, since I'm looking forward to trying it out. Yeah, hopefully it works. Let me know. Let me know. I'll be lurking, got stuff to do. No worries, iLox. Enjoy your stuff. What's up, Hayes? How's the jam going? It's going well. I think, you know, it's kind of hard working on something only 2 hours a day because I kind of forget where we're at and it's hard to make consistent progress, but we're chipping away at it. Windows Defender, honestly, it's a virus. Please go away. Yes, I promise it's not a virus. So let's do one that is just a barren tree. And what we'll do is we'll put some crooks in this. Merge that. Actually, let's not merge that. Let's fill that. And we'll remove the sharpness and give it a little bevel. I just turned it on and it splattered rock wherever I put the mouse, even though I wasn't holding down LMB. So far it hasn't crashed. Well, if it hasn't crashed, that's progress. I don't know why it would be doing that. But we can have another look. Maybe try just restarting it. Maybe, I don't know, there's something weird in the input. 24, 25 FPS, but you said this thing's like a potato, right? So we're not too surprised by that. Okay, there's our barren tree, and we'll do one more. And I think that'll give us enough trees to work with for now. Absolute potato? Okay. Well, if it runs at all, then I think I'm happy. Cool, let's get those in game. So what we're not doing yet is spawning any of these actually based on the environment. Right now, this is all just like manually being placed, just to start building out our list of props. So let's actually create prefabs for each of these. And then once we're done with this, we'll move on to rocks, and then we'll create some grass, and then I think we'll try and make like a barn or something. We already have prefabs. To be fair, it has an Intel Core i5, but then has only 8 gigs of RAM. Actually, that's not such a potato. That's actually like pretty decent. I would expect a bit more out of that. So this will be tree 01. Make that static. Let's create an environment layer. Actually, let's not do that. Let's just leave it on default. So there's trio 1. And we can create variants of this. Create prefab variant. We have trio 2. 3, riveting stuff. 4 and 5. Cool. I think that'll give us enough trees to work with for the moment. Just lay them all out in game. It runs, let's build a zoo, but not much else. If it doesn't run much else, that's fair enough. I wouldn't expect an i5 and 8 gigs of RAM to be that terrible, but yeah, fair enough. Cool, so there's our 5 trees. Nice and procedurally textured. So let's spread this out a little bit. Probably should have done this with an array modifier just to make sure it's consistent, but good enough. I'm so tempted to see if it runs Wolf Quest on lowest graphics, but I'm worried it'll give me the blue screen of death. Yeah, I'd be curious to know. If it can run Wolf Quest, but it can't run this, I'd be very concerned. Sand is really nice. Yeah, I think that's a nice touch. Yeah, so we added that last stream. So now when why am I not placing sand? Now when sand touches water, we get a nice little 1 pixel sandbar, which I think looks pretty good. Yeah, cool. So one thing we're still missing is any way to create verticality. So I think the rocks right now are set up to add a little bit of elevation, but it's quite minimal, and there's no way to have like a hill of grass, for example. So that would be something to figure out. One thing I was thinking is we could do is if you place rocks and then you put soil on top of the rocks, it like retains the height, right? So right now it's going to flatten out, right? We did have an elevation here, but now it's all flat. One thing that would be cool maybe is just to retain the height. Yeah, because otherwise there's no way to create verticality, which is kind of lame. All right, let's create some rocks. And we'll do the same thing, so they're all dynamically textured. We don't have to worry about manually texturing any of these. So this will be rock 1. And the one thing we do need to do is we need to assign it to our color palette, and we just need to UV unwrap it into the color of gray that we want, right? So if we, let's say, choose this gray, and then we save this out, we should get a nice gray rock that is procedurally made to look like thread. So this will be rock 1. And of course, it's just gonna be a big ugly cube, so we'll fix that. But it's maybe a bit dark. I just realized Let's Build a Zoo needs an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 550. Kind of impressive that Henry the Potato can run something like that, since Intel graphics literally are potatoes. So does it just have an integrated graphics card? Is it like a laptop with an integrated graphics card? Because those are pretty rough usually. I think that looks okay. So let's start carving this out. So the best way I know how to, actually, let's keep that centered. The best way I know how to create rocks in this kind of low poly stylized look is with bisecting them. So where's our knife? Our knife, and then we're gonna switch that to bisect, and then just start like carving off pieces and filling them. And just do this over and over again. Come on. And it's kind of, I haven't really found like a good method to the madness here. It's just kind of like random and kind of hoping for the best. Intel HD graphics 520. I have learned from experience this computer is absolutely awful. Yeah, that's definitely going to be your limiting factor. That thing is not going to be able to render anything. I just realized I've had nightlight on the computer this entire time. That's why it's it's been looking funny. Okay, maybe let's get a little bit more fine details. So how's this looking? It's looking rocky. I think we can soften these edges once we get the shape that we want, and that'll help. But it definitely looks like a rock. I've actually just had an idea. The taped up computer can run WolfQuest on lowest graphics. I could go ahead and see if it can run the embroidery. The taped up computer. So there's a third computer. Do we want to shade that smooth or flat? I think flat. Pretty rocky to you, Banksy. Nice. Appreciate that. Third computer, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the more computers we can test it on, the better. The thing about making PC games is that every PC is unique and they all have their quirks. So the more testing you can do, the better. Okay, so let's soften the edges a little bit. See how that looks. The Lenny has similar graphics card to Potato, I think. Currently has Intel. Yeah, so it's probably not going to run very well. Cool, that is definitely a rock. Let's grab some art reference though. It's a nice set. Those are nice. I like the little nicks in them. I think we're not going to do anything that detailed, but I'm trying to keep this all nice and low poly so we can quickly make these art assets. Cool little set. I think this guy up here, where was he? This one. This gives us a couple like prototypes. So we have like a tall round one, a kind of flatter one you can imagine jumping on, and then some like just boulders. Can you ask me a quick question about graphics cards? Sure. I have no idea if I'll be able to answer, but yeah, you can try. If it's like, you know, which graphics card you should buy, I have no idea. I'm like the wrong person to ask that, but okay, let's pop this to the side. Okay, so this is like our kind of boulder. We'll make one or two more of these, and then we'll make a few more kind of archetypes. So let's go... Probably have to start from scratch. Do you know which is better out of NVIDIA GTX and RTX? I think RTX. I think RTX is more powerful. There's a website I've used before where you can do like NVIDIA GTX 1650 versus, yeah, something like this. This one, GPU user benchmarks. And this lets you kind of compare side by side graphics cards. So you can say the RTX 3050 is 72% faster than the GTX 1650, and it give you like all the different kind of specs and everything like that. But if you just tell me two graphics cards, I have no idea. But I think the RTX line is higher than the GTX line. Rocks. Yeah, man. This you could say that this stream rocks. Anyways. Tuffer says NVIDIA GTX 1650. That's the same as my laptop, which is a pretty solid 16. Like the 1650 is a pretty solid card. I developed 90% of Feral North on that card, and yeah, it held up really well. Is that the right gray? No, it's not. That's the right gray. All right, let's sculpt. Stream rocks. Beautifully said, Ilox. Beautifully said. Hey, what'd you guys do this weekend? Anyone do anything interesting? I know it's Tuesday, but I on Friday night went to see Ludovico Einaudi. He had a castle, sorry, a stream, not a stream. He had a concert at the castle in Edinburgh, and it was incredible. It was a really, really cool experience. I'm not like the biggest classical guy, but my wife Chloe's a huge fan, and I enjoy it. It's, you know, it's not something I put on all the time, but I do enjoy it, and it was a lot of fun. To be fair, he did crash on me the other day. I had to contact the WolfQuest team, but they didn't think it was the computer. I think it might be my antivirus. Yeah, that could do it. If interesting counts as watching musicals on the laptop, fair enough. I'm not the biggest musical guy, but if that's what you enjoy. 2 days solo biking trip, Saturday to Sunday, climbing with friends yesterday. Ooh, that sounds fun. What kind of climbing, Alex? Sick all week. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Banksy. Nothing interesting for me, sadly. Just hanging out with my dog. Well, that's nice. At least you have the dog for company. Sorry to hear you're not feeling well, though. Okay, we're looking a little flat on the top. Boulder Gym, simplest to organize and no gear to carry on the bike. Nice. That's cool. I don't really know like the first thing about climbing, so I'm glad you answered with something I actually understand. Otherwise, if it was any kind of like real climbing, I like, you know, like outdoors climbing, I probably wouldn't have understood anyway. Hey, Manuel, how's it going? It's going well here. Just making some rocks. Just chiseling away at them. Cool, I think that looks good. And then let's bevel all this. And let's get that one in game. Manual YouTube YouTube watcher. What? Okay, let's start a little flame war here. Why do you guys choose Twitch versus YouTube? One more question. Is there any way to stop sensitive microphone from picking up the ridiculously noisy computer fans? So a way to make the fans quieter. Is this for your computer, or are you saying that on the stream you can hear a fan? There are a couple ways to solve that either way. One that's particularly easy. If you have a NVIDIA card, you can get NVIDIA Broadcast. So I'm not using it here, but it has like a noise removal, echo removal, stuff like that. It's pretty good. But it will require you to have an NVIDIA GPU. If you don't, I mean, the best way either way is going to be, you know, sound dampening pads and reducing the sound naturally as much as possible. So like, you know, keeping it as far away from the mic as possible, adding sound dampening pads, having some sort of like fabric between your computer and your mic, stuff like that. Turning the volume on your mic down as low as possible and then speaking directly into it. So it's only picking up your voice and it's not getting the surrounding noise. Cool. One thing I think we can do too, and I think this would be a nice touch, something I tried to do with Feral North but never really got quite right, so it isn't in the game, would be, so we know the color of the ground at any given point, right? Because we're computing it anyway, so we can always compute in a given world position what is the color of the ground. So we could do a nice little gradient here where it transitions from green onto the rock, like the, you know, so the rock is like in the ground and it's kind of like coming up onto it. We could do the same for the trees and stuff. I think that would give a nice blend. It's better. Simple answer, fair enough. My computer for recording my YouTube channel, yeah, I think you need sound dampening pads. If you don't have those, just like get as much fabric into the room as possible. Turn your mic down low and then speak directly into it, and that should help. Usually it's emote/chat is more practical on Twitch, and now it's just habit, fair enough. More streams on Twitch than YouTube, yeah, that's true for sure. I haven't used Twitch in like half a year while I watch YouTube regularly, so it's kind of the best option for me. That's how I feel. I pretty much only watch stuff on YouTube. I never, ever go on Twitch, unless there's like some special event happening. Do you have that on Tuppers? It sounds useful. Will it work with external microphones like USB mics? Yep, yeah, it will. For streamers I watch on Twitch? Yeah, fair. There's definitely, like, obviously a lot more on Twitch than on YouTube for streaming. Got ready to switch to YouTube with the recommendation still on the side while I watch stream. True, fair enough. Had to refresh because my... That looks so sick. So I think that would... You know, with NVIDIA before, with the NVIDIA overlay by doing Control-Z, and it took up like 20 gigs since recorded 4K. So you don't actually need to record through broadcast. What you can do, and hopefully I do not break the stream by showing you this, is, so if we go into OBS here, in my microphone, I can change this so it's, instead of pulling from my mic directly, it's pulling from NVIDIA Broadcast. So you can still use OBS or whatever it is that you prefer to use. And then you can just apply the effects in NVIDIA Broadcast and use that as a microphone source. So that's how I'd recommend to go about that. And hopefully everything is still running. It seems like, ah, shoot. Is the sound back? Oh, it's not you. Still no sound. Can anyone else confirm? Is there sound? You do now? You have sound? Okay. So yeah, it must. Okay, well, I risked it. I risked messing with it. But anyways, just to summarize, you can use use NVIDIA Broadcast as a microphone source in OBS. You can still use OBS. You don't have to record in NVIDIA Broadcast. So you can apply the effects in Broadcast, add that as a microphone, and then you're in. Cool. I don't know why, Alex, I don't know why there's a delay, because I have everything set to low latency, but it seems like there's still always like a pretty drastic delay, so I don't know what's up with that. Anyways, we have 2 rocks. Let's do 2 more. So we'll do one. We'll do one that's a bit more like vertical. And actually, can we just try this? And no one's the wiser. Look at that. You would never know. Just went weird for a few minutes. Yeah, I was trying to show you something in OBS, and I knew it was a risk, and yeah, it went wrong. Sorry about that. Should be good now. Okay, that's rock number 3, and then let's do one more of these. And for this guy, I want like a kind of flatter top. Like that. Cool, and that's kind of our little archetypes here. That should be good for the moment. I have a really good EA Logitech USB mic, but it's omnidirectional and it picks up the computer fans. It makes a really loud clattering noise in the background. Yeah, I think like sound dampening pads are just like adding, like hanging up some blankets between your fan and your mic will go a long way. Oh, I got ads, but since player is popped out, I still have stream too. I think it's YouTube giving the delay, to be honest. It's happening on Twitch as well. I watch someone who does live streams and they have the same long delay. Hello, CV Hamilton. Lux, are you using Linux and Firefox? Because I'm not. But it seems like everyone's having it, so it must be something in the stream configuration. I'm not dropping any frames, and like the network is hardly stressed at all, so I don't know. I don't think it's on my end, but it's probably something in the configuration. So we have our big chunky rocks. And rocks are nice because you can honestly get away with like 3 or 4 rocks and just like twisting and scaling and moving them around, and like no one's ever going to notice. I think in Feral North we had like 12, and that was probably overkill, to be honest. You're on Linux and Firefox, yeah. So, I mean, if you're using Firefox, like, are you even in 2025 yet? It's tough to say. Still catching up. All right. Let's lay these out just like our trees. Rock 4, you're incorrect. Yep, cool. There we go. The one thing is that these are all absolutely massive rocks, so we have to figure out the scale of our world, because this is very inconsistent currently. And I think we just want to scale up the trees because I think that they're quite small. But let's pop a little bean guy character here and just get a sense of where we're at. So capsule. Yeah, okay, so those trees are tiny. Those are tiny, tiny trees. In fact, I think everything can get scaled up quite a bit. So let's do that. Probably there's always huge delays for me regardless of the platform on the viewer end. So in the back end, I don't know if you guys have seen this, in the back end of Twitch and YouTube and like so I use something called Restream, which like I broadcast to Restream and then it like fans out to Twitch and YouTube. But in the background of all of these platforms, they all have like settings for low latency mode. And so I've got all those turned on. So it should be like, like according to their documentation, it should be like instant. So I don't know why it wouldn't be. So let's like scale these all up by like 4 or so. Apply those scales. And then let's bring the trees up another 2. Apply those. That looks a little bit more realistic or reasonable. That would work if I wasn't recording games. I do playthroughs of live talking. By that I mean I don't do voiceover. So I need to be able to properly be able to reach the keyboard. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, you got to basically do something to reduce the amount of noise that's reaching your microphone, or you have to use something like NVIDIA Broadcast. But it's always going to sound better if you do it naturally as opposed to using something like Broadcast. There'll always be like an artificiality to that. But a lot of people use it. Like, there's nothing wrong with using it. And I use something similar in my devlogs. There's something called Adobe Podcast, and that you can like just drop all your audio in. It'll kind of clean it up. So that might be another thing to try. Adobe Podcast. This it says it's an AI thing, which is garbage. It's not. It's just, it just like basically cleans up the audio a bit. To be fair, I'm in Australia, so I just assume my delay is dog shit anyway. Fair enough. Yeah, might take a few minutes to get out there. Okay, this scale is feeling a bit more reasonable. The rocks are maybe a bit big, but those are easy enough to just scale dynamically. Hello, Zildude. How's it going? More ads, Ilox. Are they interrupting the stream, or are they just like playing on the side? And is that abnormal for Twitch? I don't know. At the end of the day, I think I just need to get a PC. I mean, yeah, you're always going to have issues with fans, though. Depending on what you're doing. Adobe is so good. I use it for so many random things. Yeah, Adobe's got some good stuff. I try to avoid using Adobe because their subscription practices are like a bit of a nightmare, but Adobe Podcast is great. I definitely recommend it, and you can get by with like just the free tool. It's pretty good. What kind of game will this be? So we're doing a game jam. The idea is that you can embroider environments using this like falling sand simulation. So I'm dropping soil right now, and if I drop water on top of that, it starts to create grass. And then what we're going to be able to do is be able to actually go into the 3D world and like walk around, look around and stuff, and it'll all be generated based on what you embroider. So if you embroider a lot of grass, you'll get like trees appearing everywhere. Then you'll get like birds and sheep and stuff like that. Excuse me. So we're just working on that now. We're just like creating some props for the world. So these aren't spawning in yet. We're just kind of getting them all set up. But everything will be kind of like this embroidered motif, as you can see, and the world will be generated. You kind of go around and explore. And so we're doing this for a game jam, the Games for the Waynes Jam, which I should have mentioned off the top, is raising money for the Glasgow Children's Hospital, which is a great cause. They have a great, program where they have like a gamer in residence who like plays games with the kids as they're undergoing treatment. They have like consoles and games and all that kind of stuff. It's amazing cause. So if anyone wants to check that out, if you have the means, it'd be amazing. Trying to raise some money for the Waynes there in Glasgow. But if not, absolutely no harm at all. And yeah, here's the jam page if anyone wants to check it out. If you're feeling like doing a game jam, it's running to the end of August, so it's quite a long one. And the theme is what matters to me. But yeah, I think it'd be cool. Banksy, haven't had an ad since I've joined the stream, if that counts for anything. That's good to know. So I don't know why Ilox is having them. Just punishment for using Firefox, I guess. All right, so if we imagine this being our little guy or our character, whatever that's going to be, then I think the scale is starting to make sense, starting to work. So next, let's maybe make some grass. So I think it'd be cool if the grass just kind of looks like threads kind of coming off the embroidery. So I think we can do that pretty simply with just a little cylinder and see how that looks. So we can drop that way down to like maybe 3. This will be grass 1. And we'll set this so that its z-axis aligns directly with the terrain. We've got to bring it down just a little bit. And then obviously scale this in. And that's probably going to be a bit tall. Let's see how that looks. Wow, that's incredible. Is this a terrain or something else for the 3D world? So this is just a massive plane, which we have, where is it here? Which we have like subdivided quite a bit. And then a few streams ago, we wrote a shader that takes our simulation and then offsets the vertices based on what happens in the simulation. So basically for now, grass and sand and everything is at like a y-axis of 0, and then water is just dropped down so that we get these kind of like nice pools, and then there's just like a big blue quad there, which we still need to write the water shader for. But yeah, so it's just a big plane that's all subdivided, and then the vertex shader is just displacing everything. Firefox is so annoying. Agreed. Firefox used to be amazing, but went downhill. Work PC, Chrome eats the whole RAM. That's true. Yeah, Chrome is a hog. I need to look into, because I know there's a lot of new browsers on the market now. I need to look into that, so if you guys have recommendations. But I've just been using Chrome for so many years that I'm kind of feel like I'm stuck with it. Okay, let's get our grass in here. That is a tree. Grass. Where are you? There we go. Okay, and let's fix the rotation on that. Chromium, apparently. Chromium's good. It's like the open source version of Chrome. Or like the base that Chrome is built on, apparently. I used to use that years ago when I was a Linux guy. I've never tried it on PC, and I don't know, is that still like being maintained and worked on? But I stripped Firefox to a minimum, it's fine. Not like I need much from the browser. I only use it for GitLab. Fair enough. What do you use on your like your personal computer, like at home? So I can hack you. Where is my grass? There you are. Oh, we need to give him the color palette texture and then unwrap him. Something like that. And actually, I think when we write the grass shader, we'll just use the same color as the normal grass for this. Okay, so if we soften all those edges. Brave is pretty good, has built-in ad blocker, and it's faster than Chrome. Good to know. I think I've heard a lot about Brave. I feel like that, I think I see ads for that sometimes. Or maybe they sponsor a lot of YouTubers, is that right? Switched from Opera GX back to Chrome after some updates that made it lag. I've heard Opera's gone downhill, so that kind of tracks. Completely off topic, but I harvested my first zucchinis yesterday. Ooh, awesome. How'd they turn out? That's exciting. I use Lieberwolf. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Lieberwolf? Oh, it's a fork of Firefox? Cool. I feel like I just want something like super minimal, like what kind of Chrome used to be. Just something that's like bare bones, minimal, and doesn't consume every megabyte of RAM that you have. The problem is some websites might not let you in because of the ad blocker. Is there a way to disable it, like per website, or are you kind of just screwed? Firefox on homework laptop. Ooh. With uBlock Origin, it's a perfect combination. Brave is based on Chrome too. Always hear about DuckDuckGo, but I don't know how good that actually is. So that's a search engine. Do they have a browser as well? How's your dog doing? She's good. She's sleeping. I'm not going to disturb her, but she's just sleeping in her bed behind her. Maybe what we need is a dog cam so you guys can just like watch her. She pretty much just sleeps. Yeah, that might be something fun to add to the stream. DuckDuckGo is a search engine, not browser, unless they have a browser now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, DuckDuckGo, I don't know if they have a browser. Okay, so this isn't looking very grassly. What do we want to try? Pretty sure they have a browser now. Interesting. Seems like they do. Cool. Is DuckDuckGo search better than Google now? uBlock Origin is detected by YouTube now since this weekend. Have to wait for update. So I'm going to tell you guys something crazy. I never really use ad blockers. And I feel like the internet has gone terribly, terribly downhill with all the ads everywhere. However, I just am not that bothered by it either. So just adding some vertices here that we'll use for like a swaying animation. A vast secure browser is not bad. Okay, so there's a lot of options now, eh? That's good to know. All right. Let's do this. So do like an 8x8 array. If you watch YouTube/streams, it's actually annoying. It is super annoying. So one thing I do have is I have a plugin for Chrome that just auto skips ads. It's not perfect, obviously, because you do get the interruption, but at least you don't have to like stop what you're doing and like go skip the ad or deal with it. It just automatically does it, which is nice. But I just can't be bothered with like dealing with all the webs, getting blocked by websites and stuff like that. I don't know. It bothers me, but it doesn't bother me that much. The problem is most websites have learned how to detect ad blockers and tell you to turn them off. Yeah, that's annoying. The So texture looks really cool. Thank you. Yeah, we worked on that last stream. So we set this up with something called a triplanar shader, which will basically automatically generate and like wrap the texture around anything. So we don't need to manually texture things. We just have the one kind of embroidery sewing texture, and it just automatically generates it across any surface, which is cool. It's not looking great on this grass here, but like everything else. I think that's video content. I even stopped watching some annoying with ads unless you watch a lot of YouTube on. It drives me mental. It's so bad. And it's like every 20 seconds now. It's brutal. Also, I'm watching this on NewPipe, a YouTube front end app, which has no ads. Ooh, that's cool. Although I have to switch to the real app to comment. Is that like a... I'm not gonna rat you out. Is that like a sanctioned thing, or is it like kind of doing it, you know? Is it kind of like a no-no from YouTube? Minute half long ads, no skip on YouTube, only to skip 20 seconds at the end. Yeah, exactly. And then they have like the it drives me crazy. They have like the nerve to tell you like, oh, by watching this ad, we'll show you less later, or like we're showing you less ads because it's a longer video. And it's like, I feel like you're showing me 300% more ads than you were 6 months ago. I had to use Avast secure browser a few days ago since Avast blocked Microsoft Edge. Avast antivirus does not like Microsoft. Your microphone just went funny again. Sounds really fuzzy and the stream keeps on skipping and freezing. Is everyone having that issue? Cool, iLox. Enjoy. My internet seems to be a bit bad. You can't hear me at all now. Is it okay now? It's not on the Play Store, but YouTube can't do anything about it. Ah, okay. So, but it's, yeah, okay. Yeah. That's cool. Okay, so this is like our grass patch. It's fixed now. It seems like the delay is getting longer as well. I don't know what's going on there. They do stuff on the back end to try and stop it from working, though. Yeah, I feel like that's just going to be like a never-ending battle from their end and from... It's worse because I mainly watch MVs. MVs, what are MVs? So it's not even long-form videos, but I get 50-second ads before a 3-minute video. Ah, yeah, that's brutal. I can hear you again, but the mic is playing up earlier. I wonder if sometimes if the computer's like under a lot of stress, like if maybe when it's importing models or something, maybe it's just during that. I'm not sure. Anyways, yeah, we'll crack on and you guys let me know if it keeps coming up. Okay, so here's just a placeholder patch of grass for the moment. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of vertices is the one issue. 15, no way, that's too much. 15,000 vertices? How is that? Oh, music videos. That makes sense. Actually, I think I know what happened with the mic there. Because that model was so big, I think that was the issue. Right. Why are you still there? There we go. That's what it does on Tuffers when I'm recording. When the season changes on WolfQuest, it used to make my microphone awful and fuzzy for the rest of the video. Yeah, I think Windows is using the GPU for something to do with mics. Don't know what, but anytime there's like GPU load, the mic kind of stresses out. And that's why I stopped using NVIDIA Broadcast, because I assumed that would only be impacted by NVIDIA Broadcast, but either Windows or OBS is using the GPU for something, for audio processing. Okay, this looks like super uniform and stuff, but we'll add some wind and everything to kind of break that up. But I'm not liking the actual model itself. So let's try... Let's get rid of this. And we need to turn that off. There we go. I'm not really liking this. Might have to rethink the approach on these. It's actually a huge pain. I record for so long, and then it just stops my microphone and I can't upload the video to YouTube. Yeah, that's really frustrating. That's why I'm debating whether to conveniently forget about my playthrough on Feral North and just play until the ending, but don't actually play the ending. The ending makes my microphone funny. I could do with 32 gigs of RAM. I think the ending is probably the GPU acting up. Although actually it could be memory, because you run, yeah, there's a lot kind of streaming in and out of memory, so it could be. Could be. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to come back to the grass. I'm not liking the look of it, and the poly count is like way too high. So we'll have to do something there. I think what we may do is like a billboard, so it's just a single plane and it just like turns to face you. Something like that. But let's keep cracking on. So next I want to do a barn. Just a classic red barn. Can make them slightly more wavy, like curled, or more tattered edges, or is that too detailed? Just thinking of thread. Yeah, I think the issue is if we make it so there's like little frays and stuff, the poly count is gonna get really, really high. So that's a bit of concern. The curvature will come from the wind, so we'll have a wind pass in the shader that kind of like blows it all to the side and like has it kind of like swaying a bit. So that'll give it a bit more shape. Yeah, but I don't know if like this, the poly count on this is already kind of insane. Like 6,000, it's way too much. Way, way, way too much. 6,000 per kind of cluster. We also need to add a bit of noise in this so that they're not so uniform, like the heights are a little bit more modulated. Either way, last time I did a 50-minute video of the ending and then decided halfway through to break my mic for the rest of the video. I'm sorry to hear that. Somebody tells me that the HP will explode when the build with walking around the 3D world is out. Yeah, I think the GPU is going to start working. It's going to start working a bit. So we might have to look into some optimization, but I don't think it should be too bad. I think we can probably reduce some of the, or simplify the lighting model a bit, and that'll help a lot. But this grass is too much. We gotta Gotta do something else about that. But I want to just kind of keep plugging away. So we'll come back to that. For now, let's do a barn. Just something simple. Like so. And let's get a tree for reference. Something like that. Feels kind of reasonable. Just want to get a sense of the size. What GPU? All Henry has is a potato. Yeah, I think Henry the Potato is not going to be able to run this. Does it run Feral North? Is the 3D world in a separate scene? No, it's not. It's in the same. So we can actually go over to our little embroidery table here. So just there's our little guy, and then we're generating the big guy over here. But the idea I think will be that you're walking around the world, and then you can just kind of like pull up your embroidery, edit it, put your embroidery down, and then the world is like changed. So it'll all be seamless and all part of like the same environment. Oh, that's huge. Oh, the rotation. I don't even dare find out if it does. I could download now and just have a go. So in the build that's up right now, you can actually see the 3D world. So if you're on this view and then you press tab, you'll cycle through a couple different views. So you can actually see if it runs the 3D world. And then we'll change it so that you actually have a character you can walk around. But for now, you just kind of have like a couple cameras that you can see. So you can see if it runs. That's so cool. Thanks, Julian. Right. So I think, yeah, that's too big. That is too big. Let's bring that down a bit. We're a UFO barn. The transition sounds cool. Yeah. I think that'll be fun. It'll feel nice. I think it'd be really cool, actually, we're not doing this, but it would be cool if you had like a 3D platformer and you could like use embroidery to change the environment to like get through the world. I think that could be a lot of fun. It's still quite big. Let's do that. Uh, 132 gigs of storage, that is plenty. This game, currently, what's on itch right now is like, it's not even 100 megabytes, it's quite small. And it's all low poly, and there's not a lot of textures and stuff, so it's never going to grow too big. So in terms of scale, that feels... I think we need to bring these rocks down. They're quite massive. See how that feels. Before I download, since I don't want to break the computer, what's the worst that could happen if Feral North doesn't work? Probably just... your GPU will probably just throw an error and the game will crash if it absolutely can't. But we've had people play on Intel graphics cards. We've had people play on like a 2013 MacBook Air. Like it's you know, it's not going to run on high settings, but on the lowest, it might run. Oh, like Unravel a bit. I love the game as a kid. Let's see. Oh, did it just reinvent a game that already exists? Physics-based puzzle platformer. Yarny character made from a single thread of yarn must embark on a larger-than-life adventure. So can you, like, manipulate the environment? Oh, that's cool. So what I want is, like, the terrain. Like, if you want to cross, like, say you want to cross this river, you could, like, pull up your embroidery and, like, stitch, like, a bridge or something, and then the bridge appears. Something like that. I think that could be cool. Not what we're doing with this game, but it could be cool. Okay, so I think we're going to reduce the height and increase the width a little bit. Something like that. You can change models in Blender and it'll automatically update in Unity. Yes. So Unity knows how to, if you have Blender installed, it knows how to convert a blend file to an FBX. So what I do is rather than exporting from Blender into an FBX, you just have this models.blend here, and you can just drag that into your world, and it knows how to import them all. And for our prefabs, we just select the mesh from that model.blend. Select the mesh, and then, yeah, every time you change the file, it knows how to regenerate the FBX. You can tie to certain points and chuck it like a UFO, but I don't think you can stitch like that. No, it sounds sick. Yeah, I think that could be cool. I think we're not going to make a 3D platformer for this jam, but I feel like that could be really cool if someone wants to make it. I would definitely play. Hope that Feral North works. If it does, then maybe the embroidered game will work with the 3D world. Feral North has a lot more optimization than this game, but this game is also inherently lighter because it's just, you know, very simple models, very simple shading. So yeah, I don't know. Apples and oranges. Not UFO, lasso. I don't know how to type UFO. That makes more sense. Same for Photoshop files. Yeah, exactly. You can import PSDs directly into Unity, and it knows how to convert them to textures. Okay, so in terms of footprint, I think that's our barn. Now let's start decorating this guy. Where was our reference? Yeah, something like that. So let's do this. Actually, I want like a white roof. And then let's actually mirror this. Okay. Alrighty. So we're gonna add some nice big wooden planks going across the top. Something like that. Wow, the HP is downloading Feral North at top speed. It's gonna be done in 1 minute. Nice, fingers crossed. How many models would you typically put in a single blend file? So for Feral North, I think I split them based on like, I had one blend file for all the environment assets, like trees and grass and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of like logically grouped them. And then I had another file that was for like, like hard surfaces like rocks and stuff like that, buildings, all that stuff. I had another one for vehicles and then another one for characters. Because as soon as you start adding animation, the size of the file really starts to expand. So yeah, I kind of just base it off like kind of logical grouping, what I'm typically going to be working on at the same time, and then measuring or getting a feel for like how long it takes Unity to actually generate the FBX, because it does slow down pretty quickly. For my new game, which I haven't announced, I can't really say a whole lot about, it kind of all takes place in a single location. And so I've been modeling everything in the same blend file and it's starting to get really, really slow. So I need to start thinking about how I'm going to split that all up. But it is a nice workflow. It is a nice workflow. The one thing to keep an eye out for though, is if you're working in a team, everyone has to have the same version of Blender installed. Otherwise you start getting into some issues. Or you can get some issues anyway, I should say. Just kind of depending on what you're doing. But yeah, it works pretty well. And actually, you know what we can do? We can do this on the y-axis as well. So let's do this. Okay. The potato one's Feral North, then I'll be very impressed with Henry. Yeah, let me know. Here goes Vanish. It's because the computer exploded the house. Feral North, the low graphics is so different. Yeah, it strips out a lot. But does it run? I take it that runs. Yeah, no worries, Smash. Okay, so I'm not liking this being a white roof. Let's do like a brown. Something like that. And then we're missing a wall here. So Fern, is it running? All right, that is looking a bit harsh. Let's do this. Running is one way of putting it, I guess. Okay, so it's not smooth, I guess. Okay, let's give that a go. 97% CPU, and the computer feels extremely hot, as well as the gaming skipping a bit, but it's running better than I thought. Cool. It's good to know. Yeah, like we tried to make it so it was at least like it would run on pretty much anything from like the last 10 years. Obviously, like your results are going to vary, but I would say it's like relatively well optimized. Okay. Something like that. That's overkill. Oops, completely forgot that the bridge would bake. Cool. So it sounds like you're actually like making your way through it. That's neat. It's kind of a barn. Probably want to add some like windows and stuff, little decorations. But yeah, cool. Definitely a barn. So what do I have on my to-do list? So we want to create more trees, more rocks, barn. Clouds. Yeah, I wanted to do some clouds. So I had this idea. I think it'd be really cool if we had these kind of fluffy, kind of like cartoony circular clouds up in the sky, and they're also made of the kind of like threaded material. I think that'd be really cool. And then we could just have them kind of like spin in a circle, almost like what do you call that? Like a marionette? Is that what it's called? No, not like a marionette. What's a bassinet? You know what I'm talking about? Where you have like above a baby's crib or something like that. You'll have like stars and then just kind of like go in a circle. Basically, that's what I'm thinking. But they'll be clouds, and they'll be like really fluffy and kind of embroidered, and they'll just kind of be like infinitely slowly spinning around around the sky. Gotta be more optimized than those AAA games nowadays. They don't care about optimizing anymore. Yeah, I mean it's tough. I feel for them, to be honest, because you're constantly pushing to have like higher graphic fidelity because that's all anyone cares about. But then the higher that you push that, the more difficult it becomes to optimize. Like more on like the marketing and the producers like pushing for this like photorealism, and you know hardware can only keep up so much, and people can only keep up with the hardware so much. It's tough. I'm up to Keely saying it's time to go. Cool. So you're making progress. Will there be fish in this game, do you think? Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I think it'd be nice to have some fish, some birds, some sheep, and they'll also all be kind of like that embroidered kind of look. I think that could be cool. What if we did yeah, let's just really quickly whip up a very rough little fish. So let's go subdivision. Bear with me. I do know what a fish looks like. Bear with me. Okay, this isn't turning out great. There, it's a fish. And just imagine that wobbling around. A mobile. That's it. Thank you, CV Hamilton. Yeah, mobile. I'm a fish. Blub, blub, blub. Well, I guess Feral North works. I'm coming off though since I'm used to highest graphics and I got lost on very low. Still looks good though. Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks way, way better on the higher quality settings for sure. But yeah, here's our super scuffed fish. Actually, I don't think this is the first time I've made a very, very crappy looking fish on stream before. I think I did that years ago. We did like a fish vertex animation. Let's give him a little... Okay, so you're gonna be... What are you gonna be? You're like purple. I'm trying to think of some colors that we won't like really see a whole lot of in the game. So you're gonna be purple. A little purple fish. And let's give you a little eye. UV sphere. Scale that way down. Actually, that's way too much. Hang on. UV sphere. Like 4 segments. Can I do that? The one thing that's nice about doing like a very cartoony, stylized art style like this is sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can really get away with this kind of stuff. And then 1 second. I'm curious what this looks like. Henry the Potato will be proud. Nice. I feel like that I only noticed the fish on Feral North in my 4th playthrough. Yeah, there are fish in Feral North. They're very, very hard to see, but they do exist. And they have a really cool like schooling behavior, and they'll follow your canoe around, and like they do cool stuff. It's a shame that like they're kind of... I never quite managed to make them super visible. I'm glad someone noticed it. Hey, where are my eyes? Where are my eyes? Amazing. Look at that. We got a fish. You won't be able to see them underwater right now, but when we do the water shader, we'll make sure that we can see the fish, and we'll have them swimming around. He looks like an oven mitt. Like he looks like this. 10 out of 10 fish. 10 out of 10, if I do say so myself. I thought the fish on Feral North were pretty visible once I first noticed them. They're really sweet fish. I went to name them all, but unfortunately I can't tell them apart. Yeah, fair enough. Nice looking glove. Thank you. Thank you, T-Boy. Appreciate it. Yeah, so there's our fish, and we'll make some schools of them, and we'll give them a little like flapping animation. Boo. Cool. Okay, let's clean this up a little bit. So we have added a barn. Let's bring you in. Barn, 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 barn. Barn's a little scuffed, but we'll figure that out later. I think we'll figure out. So I mentioned this the other day, but I think it'd be kind of cool if you had like patches that you could place in the world. So I think we talked about the barn specifically. Something like this. So like when you're embroidering, you have these little patches, and you can place the patches somewhere on the on the canvas, and then that's where your barn will be. And maybe like each of those buildings has like a special purpose. I don't know, but we'll figure that out. And when we do, we'll do like the interior and stuff. But for now, let's gets us something to represent our barn. We added the fish, of course. Can't forget the fish. Fish. Okay, and we have our grass, and we have rocks and trees. So yeah, let's have a look. We need baseball bat fish. Like those blow up fairground baseball bats. Yeah, exactly. What is the fish called in the embroidery game? What's his name? I think it's obviously Fred, right? It looks like a Fred. His eye's a little scuffed. I mean, the whole thing's scuffed, but we'll only see him like this big anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it doesn't look great. But yeah, so here's our kind of like world. What we need to do is, so I always pictured this being a first-person game, but the more and more we lean into this like stylized, cartoony, embroidered world, I kind of want to have a character. Like a little farmer that's also embroidered. And they like walk around, and they have, it's like third person or like maybe isometric. So you can like walk around and like whip up your little embroidery thing, make some edits, pull it down, keep walking. What do you guys think about that? Thread Fred. Yeah, there you go. Thread Fred. That's perfect. Yeah, wow, we have a lot to do. So we gotta get character movement going. I think that's like highest priority. We gotta do our water shader. We need a grass shader. And we need to figure out what this game actually is. Like, we don't actually have any gameplay yet. We're definitely putting the cart before the horse with the graphics and stuff. So we gotta figure that out at some point. Yeah, I think we'll leave it for there for today. I'm kind of feeling a little... this is a good one. I think this is gonna work for what the actual game is, and start making the game. But yeah, maybe let's do a quick bird, just so Fred's not alone. And delete all that. Do like a little seagull. Oh, this is gonna be terrible. This is gonna be even worse than thread Fred. Hang on. Okay, we need some reference art. Let's be serious. Low poly seagull. Something like this. That's exactly what we're going for. No. The mic is gone again. It's going in and out. It's working now. Ah, why is that happening? That's so weird. We gotta figure out if there's like a pattern to when it happens. Do I even know what a seagull looks like? This is terrible. Oh. This looks like more of like an airplane than a seagull. The seagull is amazing so far. Can it be named Gerard? Yeah, Gerard works. Gerard's a good name. How much did it take you to get so good in Blender, and how did you learn it? I mean, I don't know if any of this is saying I'm good at Blender, but if you think this is good, thank you. But seriously, how long did it take? I don't know. I mean, like when I started Farewell North, I kind of barely knew the basics, and then it took a long time to like, you know, get somewhat proficient with it. Obviously, this terrible seagull aside. I think it's just as much as you practice. So I'm a really big believer in like, I don't really do like learning phases. I just try and like learn as I go, which isn't always the most efficient, but it does mean you get to get a lot of work done. So I kind of just like, you know, like I would say it took me years, and I'm still definitely learning, as you can see. But I didn't just like sit there for 4 years and learn Blender, if that makes sense. I kind of just like kept working on things, and when I needed to model something, I would just figure out how to model that thing. Or not. But yeah, it's just kind of like an ongoing, continuous learning process, Vlad. He's a handsome seagull. Let's subdivide. Sorry, mirror. Let's mirror this on the z-axis. But yeah, like I definitely would not say I'm like good at Blender, if that makes sense. Like I can kind of get by, but sometimes I can't, you know? Why are you all the way over there? Let's do this. Okay, so let's fix this guy up. Okay. Tail is way too big. Let's bring you down. We'll need these vertices to animate it later. Don't call poor Gerard terrible. You'll hurt his feelings. He's special. He's a special seagull. This is the best stream yet so far. So fun to watch. I'm glad. Question is, will Gerard the seagull try to eat Fred the fish? I don't think we'll get to a point where we have like an ecosystem simulation. I think we're already kind of stretched to achieve the goal we have so far. So I'm gonna say no. I think it's just gonna be a little cozy world where everyone kind of, you know, has a good time and everyone's safe. But we'll see. I have to go to. I'll try to watch the live I missed, but generating the world. Good luck. Cool, Julian. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. So give him a little beak. Those look terrible. So bad. He looks like an airplane. Why is that? And he needs a little eye. We can steal the eye from our fish. I scared there for a moment with Fred's well-being. Nah, Fred's safe. You know, everyday conspiracies become more believable with these airplane gulls. It's true, eh? He's a government gull. Spying on us. Spying on our farm. Birdwatchers will be flooding to play the embroidered game just to see the famous Fred. Yeah, hopefully. Maybe that's our angle. That's our hook. It's our Gerard. Getting Fred and Gerard mixed up now. I think it you know, Fred's a fish, so it starts with an F. Gerard's a gull, so it starts with a G. Oh, this is so scuffed. To be fair, I've never done low poly before, and it definitely shows. It's terrible. What in the world is this? Looks more like a whale. Maybe the head needs more definition. Yeah. He looks like an airplane. Terrible. Wait, hang on. What's going on here? Don't want that. Oh no. We've combined Fred and Gerard here. Origin to geometry. Yeah, so we don't want that. Don't want that. Yeah, there, cool. Why is auto mirror not working? Do we have auto mirror installed? Preferences. Is auto mirror not in Blender 4 anymore? Some add-ons have been moved to extensions, like the auto mirror one. Okay. Sidebar, edit tab, auto mirror. I just joined Who's Fred. It's our scuffed little. So we're creating props for our little 3D world here, right? So here's Fred the fish. He's super scuffed, but we're going for a very, like, you know, cottony, pillowy little art style here. And then I thought, you know what? I'll try and make a bird, and it is not going well. This game will be even more famous than Feral North. Oh, I hope not. Not with Fred and Gerard here. It looks awesome like Fatal Aircraft. You should enable clipping in the mirror modifier. Yeah, I did. We have clipping. Oh, do we not? Ah, there we go. Thank you, QXD. Thank you. I like Gerard's signature move where he splits open his face. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. He looks like an airplane. This is terrible. And Gerard's cross-stitch country. Yeah, it's just his world and we're all living in it. Okay, so the tail is way too long. I think that's contributing to our contributing to our sense of this being an airplane or a whale. He just looks like a small little airplane. I kind of like him better chunky, but he doesn't fit. Somebody wrote a negative review on Feral North saying it's a mess story game. Grr, I wish they had comments turned on with that review. Yeah, reviews are fun. I think we've been very, very fortunate with the reviews. It seems like we found like the right audience, the people who are like kind of the intended audience for the game. So I'm really happy about that. And like we're at 96% positive, which is amazing, far better than I ever expected. But yeah, you do get the odd one that's kind of, it just like the game wasn't for them, and that's fair enough. Nothing I can do about that. All right. It's a bit more of a bird. There we go. Now he's looking cute. It's just a chubby little bird. I like him. The wings might be too close. Yeah, you might be right. I think so. Birds normally they have it like they're kind of like bent back, right? Wing overhead shot. Yeah. So if we did something like this. Yeah, that helps a lot. Thanks, QXT. Then you just get positive reviews like I love crying. Yeah, some of those are really funny. We had one that was like, it was a really early review that I loved. He was like, I'm a 40-year-old U.S. Marine and I've never cried so much in my life or something, and I thought that was really really sweet. I think maybe the wings being bigger could help with the bird image. So the trouble right now is I know that the stream's a little bit delayed, so I don't know when you're saying that. If you've seen the latest, I think that's feeling pretty good, right? And then maybe if we bring this in a little bit. Nope, don't do that. Bring that in a little bit. Something like that. He's definitely chunky. Like, I don't know if those wings would carry that frame, but I feel like that's part of his charm. I like him, guys. It's terrible, but I like him. I feel like people have forgotten what review means on Steam. Yeah, sometimes. The facelift definitely helped with the birdness. Yeah, I think that was the key. That was what we're missing. Give that a bit more of like an orange. Yeah. I don't like that last change though. That's a perfect sequel, guys. That's like PBR photorealism. Can you give him tiny stick legs? Let's see. Let's see. One sec. Behold, tiny stick legs. How's that? How's that, QXT? Then you just get this review on Wolf Quest. This is the half of it I copied and slightly corrected the grammar on. And when it timed for me when it timed to get me Fetty open, Whitey munch the dead. I have no idea what that means. Gerard, oh Gerard, the bird you are. Indeed. Gerard got those thick legs. I don't know if you know, but seagulls are surprisingly big. Yes, they are. They're slightly bigger than a smallish dog. Here in the UK, okay, UK seagulls are something else. They are like absolute units. 34 to 78 centimeters wide. Like, I don't know if I can describe this. These things are beasts. Like, they mug people. This is kind of gross. They eat rats whole. Like, they are huge. My wife was carrying a croissant one day and a seagull just took it from her and there was like nothing she could do. Like, they are menaces. They're massive. You think the leg normals are flipped, do you? Oh, you're right. Yeah, good shout. Nice one. Thanks, QXT. I'm curious about something. YouTube says you live in the UK, but you sound American. Oh, that's... Don't say I sound American. I'm Canadian, but I do live in Scotland. Yeah. So that's the American you're hearing is I'm Canadian. Legs are a bit tiny. I mean, QXT requested them, so that's what he got. Tiny little sticks to carry that big frame. Gerard looks like he's hiding something in the mouth. UK seagulls steal food. Yeah, UK seagulls are absolute units. They're huge. They're terrifying. Canadian seagulls are like maybe a third the size. UK ones are huge. I guess it's because like we're right on the water. But yeah. Cool, guys. That's Gerard. So let's get him in the game. Seagulls are literally so mean, though. They pinch your fish and chips on the beach. Yeah, like, you have to be careful when you're walking around. Like, they will steal your food. Sorry, bird. Bird one. Bird one. Look at that cute little guy. What a handsome fella. Bird, bird, bird. You know. Okay, one more thing I want to do. I want to do the clouds that I was mentioning before. I just got to let my dog out. I will be back in 1 second. No! My bad, guys. That entire time I was talking to myself. So sorry. I'm not going to repeat all that, but anyways, yeah. Seagulls are menaces. I don't think in Canada they're so extremely violent as they are here in the UK. I don't know how they compare elsewhere, but in Canada they're like quite a bit smaller and they would never steal food out of your hand. And yeah, ibises are annoying as well. Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully you can hear me now. This delay is driving me crazy. Okay, last thing I want to do is I want to quickly whip up some clouds. So let's do that. This is just going to be some circles. Sorry, guys. I really hope you can hear me now. Otherwise, we have another delay to wait through. You can hear me now? Cool. All right, so let's do this cloud. Let's find like fluffy 2D cloud. Something like that. This is like really inefficient, but we're gonna do it. And then I think if we just duplicate this, offset it a little bit, and make it a darker color. Something like that. And then we have a ton of unnecessary vertices, so let's quickly clean that up. Actually, not important right now. Okay, let's just get this going. Or geometry to origin. It's good now. Clouds will be amazing. Awesome. Okay, let's so here's what we're gonna do. I kind of did this in my last video for something else. Not my last video, sorry. In a previous video, I was talking about like art direction in games. So it's a very simple little trick. We are just going to add a empty object, call it clouds. And we're gonna start filling in some clouds inside here. So first of all, that's what our cloud looks like. I think what we're gonna do, let's create a variant of the shader, or the material. Rendering material variant, cloud variant. Let's pop that on there. And because we're gonna be so far away from it, we can increase the tiling a bit. Remove the lock on that. Increase the tiling a bit, so we can actually see it. And then we'll spawn a bunch of these, kind of randomly size them. So this one will be 2. We'll put it over here. This will be 1. 3. And we'll probably add some more variations to this later, just for now. So got some clouds, and then we can write a quick script to just infinitely rotate this. So it'll kind of be like spinning in a circle above the world. Kind of like a mobile, as someone pointed out earlier. Infinite rotation. All right. Auto behavior, public float, rotation speed. Then an update this dot transform dot rotate vector 3 dot up times time dot time. Sorry, time dot delta time times this dot speed. So it's just going to infinitely spin. And it'll just add a little bit of movement to the environment. And just kind of break things up a little bit. And then we'll need like a better skybox as well, but this is kind of the starting point. So infinite rotation. Let's give a speed of like 5. And then let's make sure that's like centered in the world. Something like that. Let's see what that looks like. Clouds will be amazing. Nice. Glad you think so. Has the Steam summer sale ended? Yes, it has. It ended on Thursday. Okay, so one issue that we're seeing is because the UVs are generated using the world space, the thread looks like it's moving. We don't want that. So what we can do is let's add a flag, use object space UVs. And here, we'll do a branch. So if we want to use object space UVs, then we pass the object position in. And we'll need this for anything that's like moving, basically. Position. And then I think we'll need the same for the normal. I hate this spaghetti nonsense. Okay, let's give that a shot. Any news on placing houses, trees, animals? No, not yet. I'm kind of procrastinating, if I'm honest. We need to figure out what the actual game is. I don't have a strong sense of what it is we're actually making as a game, which is quite unfortunate because we're already like 3 weeks into this. So we need to like figure that out. So I'm kind of just like going with what feels like it's going to be fun to do, and right now that's like doing some art stuff, but we really do need to solve that. Cool. Yeah, so see now the threads don't move. Here they move. Here they don't move. So they stay consistent. We can bring that tiling back down a little bit. Something like that. And then that spinning is a bit fast. Something like that. And I think if we like add some more cloud variety and play with the skybox a little bit, we can make that look pretty cool. Do we need shadows on these? Why are you so dark? Yeah, okay, so I think we're getting to a point where we have like a pretty decent art style. You know, it's passable for a game jam. We have consistency, which is nice. and we can kind of quickly create assets. So I think that's cool for art direction. We need to do the water shader, we need to do the grass shader, but yeah, the biggest thing is we need to figure out what this game actually is and start creating gameplay. So I think we'll call it there for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. This is a really fun one. I had a lot of fun doing this, making Gerard and Fred and all these silly things. We also we still need to add sheep, maybe some cows, more birds. But this is a fun little start and kind of sets the tone for the quirky little creatures we'll create. I'm gonna have to see if I can make something good on the new embroidery build when I get the tuffers for recording later. Yeah, we'll get another build out this week when hopefully we can actually like walk around this 3D environment. So I think that needs to be the goal for tomorrow. I need to stop procrastinating on that. So tomorrow we'll start walking around and yeah, figure out what the game actually is. So I think just to recap, I think what I want is the game to be kind of focused on farming, as all cozy games are. Where you are kind of embroidering your farm. Let's say I want to grow wheat. So we need a way harvester. Yeah, we gotta figure out like what the goals are, what the whole like premise of that is. So anyways, if you guys have any thoughts, definitely let me know. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.